أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum, my brothers in Islam. In this video, I'm going to discuss an issue according to the Sunnah of Rasūlullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that a Muslim should only make a statement or an explanation regarding to the Sunnah of Rasūlullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam according to what is on the ground. That is waqa'a, something that is standing or is in place or is witnessed by everybody, or tata amalihi, something that must be done for the security, progress of the Muslim Umma. The British Guardian published the story. Hundreds of Islamic groups boycott, prevent, review over choice of a chair. Exclusive choice of William Shawcross to head anti-radicalization scheme, review criticized owing to past remarks about Islam. A coalition of more than 450 Islamic organizations, including 350 mosques and imams, representing thousands of British Muslim voices, are to boycott the government's review of the anti-radicalization program PREVENT in protest against the appointment of Sir William Shawcross as its chair. Now, I have been in contact with Western and European powers since 1992 or so. America, Britain in particular, and in Britain, UK, I have, I think, probably 5 or 4 correspondences from 2003 or from 1990s, definitely yes. From 2003, probably around 4 or 5 correspondences. Mrs. Theresa May, Boris Johnson as Mayor of London, twice probably, as Prime Minister twice also, I don't know. All what I am trying to explain to them is how they should deal with the Muslim Ummah in their place of authority. The Holy Quran is universal. Rasūlullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is universal, his Sharia. It is either you accept it voluntarily, myself and the rest with the Muslims, or you accept it involuntarily, the rest of mankind. Yet understand the perfection of the Torah, the choice by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and its completion in the hands of Rasūlullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's all what we should explain today. We have to understand, or the West and Europe have to understand, that Āli ibn Abī Ṭālib disagrees that we should explain the Holy Quran at any period according to their own time. The Holy Quran, if you recite it, there is an internal understanding according to your own faith. But what is required is to explain it in such a way that it will be respected, honored, and accepted. So most of our translation of the Holy Quran is based on what people do not usually understand and are not properly explained. because our time we are responsible for the progress and transmission of the Sunnah of Rasūlullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. In the first instance, West and Europe should understand that Rasūlullah never called anyone but a Muslim, a believer, because nobody will disagree that he is not created as a servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that he does not follow the rules of the physical world under the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we are all Muslims. The Christians, they are the ones who call themselves Christians, as revealed in the Holy Quran. وَمَنَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّا نَصَارَى. From those who call themselves they are Nasara, translated as Christianity, as Christians. Clear cut. So it's their own problem. To understand their mistakes and then come to accept Islam. But it must be through the current situation demanding a better explanation of the Holy Quran. In the first instance, West and Europe are guilty because they are expected, required, and commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to read Islam, especially the Sunnah of Rasūlullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and then direct his followers. As it stands today, progress, security, and all what human beings need cannot be influenced by the Muslims who understood the teaching of Rasūlullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, because it will never be accepted by the rest of the Muslim Umma. It is the West and Europe that responsibility is shouldered on today. It's a reverse. Muhammad was in Mecca, not in Medina. In Medina were the levies, the authors and authorities of the Torah. No tribe is allowed to recite it except them. Why did they leave Palestine to Medina, the land between Liby tracks and the palm trees? That is what is mentioned in the Torah, the ultimate place of the Messiah. They came to Medina. For how many years? Not to be involved into controversy and a disagreement or opinion, but definitely they lived there. They are the ones who invited or mentioned to the Aus and Khazraj, the tribes in Medina, of the influence and the necessity to hold Rasūlullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So after a period of 10 years, they sent an emissary to Mecca, to invite Muhammad to Medina. He agreed later on, and they came to Medina for what? To be their leader. For what? Prosperity, progress, and security. Was it established? Certainly. So it is now a return of them to do the same favor to mankind as was done by Rasūlullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. They have to definitely help in this conflict of opinion, disagreement, sectarianism, which resulted in what they are trying to correct. So in the first instance, Sir William Shawcross should challenge the British Muslims that the coalition of more than 450 Islamic organizations is against Islam. Therefore, they are not Muslims. Let them call themselves whatever they call themselves, but they should not disagree that they are not Muslims. Because The 450 Islamic organization, how does it fit into وَأَتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا? How does it fit into hold all of you by the rope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and do not be divided? How does it fit? Does it not fit into كُلُّ حِزْبٍ بِمَا لَدَيْهِمْ فَرِحُونَ? Each section going about explaining Islam, practicing it the way they like. So how can they call themselves Muslims? That is what Sir William Shawcross should actually challenge. Let them come out with evidence from the Holy Quran. 350 mosques. None of them is observing the obligatory prayers according to the Sunnah. Let Sir William Shawcross buy my book. Call the Imams. There is video on how they pray. Is that the way I described it? Or in any other book? Definitely not in English language. Radicalization program prevent is essential, but British government must, as I said, understand the role it is playing in radicalization, extremism, and terrorism, because they support sectarianism in Islam. Definitely, that was the cause of the downfall of Islam, when illiterates were allowed to play a major role in the interpretation of the Sharia of Rasūlullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That goes back to the end of 34 years of the hijra and the beginning of the 35th year. This is what is rolling in Islam today. Why should West and Europe allow the establishment of sectarianism, sectarian form of worship in their own territories, while they knew the consequences as warned by Rasūlullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? There will never be peace and stability and progress. No security at all. And this is what is happening in the Muslim world. Now, what are the remarks, or what were the remarks of Sir William Shaw? He said Islam, which is common, Islamism, name, and the Muslims. But an interest of Islam and the Muslims. Islam is common. British citizens are also they have Islams. They have faith. Muslims, practical. You are not a Muslim if you don't pray according to the Sunnah of Rasūlullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We remove the importance of the caliphate in Britain and Europe because they can't establish it. But all what we are saying is that it is within the authority, the prerogatives, the right, as was done by Rasūlullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to see that the Levites also followed, practiced the Torah. So many examples. They have to. They were judged by Rasūlullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam according to the Torah, never according to the to what was not in existence with him, the Sharia. It is after the establishment of the Torah, Deuteronomy, that is incorporated into the Sharia of Rasūlullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Why the establishment of brotherhood is not don't treat foreigners in a different way. Treat them in the manner you treat yourselves. That is the essence of the migration, where the Quraysh treated differently from the Aus and Hazraj, treat foreigners. You two Jews were foreigners in Egypt. So look at this. The first thing he did when he stepped his foot in Medina, brotherhood. So there is no justification in allowing the Muslims free hand in whatever state or layer you call it, freedom of speech, right of association, everything. Freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom of irresponsibility. That is what Western Europe should understand. Freedom of speech means telling the truth according to doing the right thing to bring about prosperity, security, and progress, and love. So, he said, Europe and Islam is one of the greatest, most terrifying problems of our future. I quite agree with him. The Europe is breeding radicalism, is breeding hatred, is breeding sectarianism, imported from the base of the immigrants to Britain. The umbilical cord is not yet cut from the placenta and the uterus. That's the problem I have. The truth is that Europe and the West must understand the 6 years in Medina before the Jews were given permission out of respect and dignity, love, to be moved to Khaybar, where they had more concentration. And when they were moved to Khaybar, they were allowed to choose the land they want to settle and harvest. They were allowed to choose. Nothing was ever done in Islam without giving them the choice, first of all. But what is it now? It is turned into a democratic attitude, expelling the Jews from Medina. Look at this. What is this? The Muslim Umma is yet to explain the truth. It is there in the textbooks, but they have no interest. Knowledge is not limited to only those facing the Kaaba to pray. Let us make this distinction. The fact that the place to face during worshiping change from Jerusalem to Mecca doesn't mean anything. That is the right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the greatest problem. Is the future is truly speaking, unless this issue is addressed, that West and Europe, UK, shoulders its responsibility and expectation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to correct and enforce, supervise the believers of Muhammad Rasūlullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to follow his course in the manner Rasūlullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the first 6 years of migration supervised, enforced the Levites to follow Prophet Musa alayhi salam and their prophets and their tribes. There's never anything that anybody will do to remove the problem we are having today. I will repeat, unless West and Europe, United Kingdom, and wherever a Muslim is hibernating, is given the right, the freedom to move about, he must be supervised that he follows Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That was what the Levites did to invite Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, establish the Torah. He was the practical demonstrator, they know the theory, but they tell him, then he put it into practice. Unless this is done, I'm sorry for the West. They are actually the criminals. They are the axis of evil. Tagut and Egypt. But if they change their mind for global radical analysis of the Holy Quran and the Sunnah of Rasūlullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, from those actually who know it, not based on tribal, you are an Arab, or you are a Pakistani, or you are an Indian, you have long beard, but you don't trim your mustache. Look at them. Is that the Sunnah? Have the beard, but trim your mustache. But they don't do that. Simple. They are not be peace. So there's nothing harmful. There's nothing derogatory on this speech. That Europe and Islam is one of the greatest, most terrifying problems of our future. Now, the word Islam, I would prefer to correct it. He will say Europe and the Muslims. Because Islam, they are also Muslims. 80 to 90%, 86% of the Holy Quran is composed of past events. Let us put it 23. Rasūlullah spent 19 good years, 19 over 23 percentage. How much? Almost 80%. Exactly of it is the Torah and the Injil, the New Testament. So why are you rejecting it? So the best thing is Europe and the Muslims is one of the greatest, most terrifying problems of our future. Correct. I think all your European countries have vastly, very quickly grown Islamic population. So what? 635,000 after Exodus. How many percentage? I think Reuben have the highest percentage. The least, the Levites. So what does it signify? What is it? I mean, that this is not a statement that is worth to be, mentioned. Yeah, they are growing. But what is the population of the Muslims in Britain? 5 to 8 million, I think. I don't know, 6 million, I've forgotten. What of Britain population? 80 million. So what is the threat here? The threat is the failure of the government to see that the correct rectitude of conduct is established and practiced by the followers of Rasūlullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Islamist abuse could be catastrophic for charities. We must be vigilant. Exactly. What are they sponsoring? They don't teach the Sunnah. They always want to teach rhetorics. You see, there was in their time, forgetting that Allah mentioned that if the whole ocean, that particular period of the revelation of the verse, is multiplied 7 times into ink, and all the trees into pen, it will never exhaust the teaching and the meaning of the verses revealed for 13 years in Mecca alone, not in Medina. Medina is specific, targeted, short. The Sunnah, that is make distinction, but most of the Muslim Umma, especially in Europe, or wherever they are, they want to discuss 13, I don't say irrelevant, 13, look at this, 7 times writing, but equivalent to what? A letter, a word, an ayah, a verse, and a surah, a chapter. Those writings of the whole ocean 7 times, with the whole trees as pen 7 times, is equivalent to a single word. a single letter, a single verse, a single surah. So what is the professionalism and the intelligence in that? Nothing. Go and spend your time writing, I only take a letter and a word. They are equivalent to a waste of time. They are wasting time. Never establishing what brought prosperity, dignity, and the victory. There was no victory in Mecca. Muhammad was what? Not a refugee, but is only protected because Allah promised that the revelation must be completed, the Torah. Otherwise, Muhammad could not have survived. Without the Jews, the Levites, where could be the influence of Muhammad Rasūlullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Now look at the beauty. Then after the Levites left Medina, there was a period of 3 years. Then the Christians, those who called themselves Christians in Najran, came to Muhammad Rasūlullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to inquire about him. Who is he? They know. What did they do? They say, yes, we believe in what you say, and we know you very well. And that there are people, 60 of them. You know better well that if we disagree or disbelieve or insult him, mock, our children will never live to grow. You, Europe, and the West, have you ever heard this? It's right, it's written. You are supposed to know that better than myself, because you know the consequences of disagreeing, disrespecting, mocking Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the degree his own followers are doing it today. What did they say? I think they spent around 40 days. When they were leaving, they said, give us somebody from you to be with us in Najran in case we have disputes amongst ourselves. He will chair it. Now, Professor William showcase, look at what happened. That is now you on you also. We have disputes among ourselves. You know it. Islam is part and parcel of the Torah and the Injil. So, Sir William, what can you do if Boris Johnson refused to listen to me when he was a mayor? I think, wrote to him when he was Prime Minister. He refused to listen to me. What are you going to do, Sir William Shawcross? Again, not to listen to me? If he has no power, you have the power. Call these Muslims that they are not believers. 450 sections, groups. Why is grouping? I will tell you that ask them, is that grouping equivalent to giving flag to each tribe during a military expedition? That is not the same thing. So definitely Islamist abuse, they are abusing Muslims. It's catastrophic. Exactly. Do everything possible to block importation of wealth to ridicule Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They know very well. لو أنفقت ما في الأرض جميعا ما ألفت بين قلوبهم ولكن الله ألف بينهم. They know this very well, but they are abusing it. They say, who is Allah? They have the oil. They are Arabs. They are white. We are blacks. So, Sir William Shawcross, you know what to do. That's if you have the power, do it. So why is the insult here? I think he has told us the truth. So, there's nothing else. It is left now for us to share my own fatwa with the Holy Quran and the Sunnah. But you West, you are the axis of radicalism, extremism, terrorism, and the injustice. Because we have failed to follow involuntarily your own portion of the message in the Torah and the Injil. Change, please. Litmus test. It is science. We go to the laboratory. We must see results. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.